Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Phil John's VIP. I am, as always, super excited about another guest tonight. I'm really, I feel like this is an opportunity for me to really showcase all the people that I have been lucky and blessed enough to be in this industry with actors and musicians and producers and people behind the scenes that are um, consistently working in the industry. I'm truly excited. Once again, I say to you on tonight, right after my show ends at 9 o'clock, go over to the Gentleman's Corner. My brothers will be talking about what it is to just be a man in this society and all the things that we go through as not only just men of color, but as men, period. And if you can, like I said before, at 9 o'clock, once we're done here, go over to the Gentleman's Corner and check out the brothers and see what they're talking about. Erica Caramano, what could I say? She will be my guest for tonight. This young lady has been in the industry for a very long time. She's been a recurring guest star on Law and Order, at Law and Order SVU, and she is one of the stars of the Equalizer on CBS. But not only that, she's a mom and a wife, and you know, I just want to talk to her about and see how she does it, because I know it's not easy to be in this industry and juggle so many different things. But she's done it with like a pro. I never see her sweat. I never see her waver, and how she manages to do that and still continue to look as young and as youthful as she does. The world may never know. But hopefully we can get some information about that tonight. So I'm going to bring on my guest for tonight. I'm super excited about it. Here we go, Miss Camarano. I'm waiting for her to come now. I'm waiting for her to come now. Wait, is she there? Hey!
Hi.
There you go, there you go, there you go. I had to sing your accolades before you came on.
Oh, thank you. What an intro.
So I wanted people to know who you are and what you're doing and what you're about. Before we get into our little banter. But I just wanted to let people know that they are witnessing just a true professional in the business, someone who has been
Thank you.
here for a long time and has always maintained a level of humbleness, humility. You've always been grounded, and uh, you may not know this, but one of my ongoing jokes about you is like, I'm like, Erica is either working or she's at PTA. It's either one.
It's
On
true.
set
It's
or at
true.
PTA. And sometimes
I,
PTA could be more busier than actually working on set.
yeah, well, that was definitely pre-COVID life, I will say that that really shifted a lot of things. And although I'm still very much involved in my children's lives, I'm not on the PTA anymore. So
Oh.
So that's been a good change just in that, you can only give your time to so many things at
Yeah.
once. So it's I think also, right, this last period of time for all of us has really kind of been very telling of like who and what is important to us, right? So,
Absolutely.
I think it kind of made my life kind of just like funnel down into like, okay, there's work, there's my family, there's, just like you kind of started to kind of put everything in perspective and really do, really focus on
Work-life
what's
balance.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, work-life
And
balance. Like you don't really, a lot of people don't really know how important that is, you know.
yeah, I think it's really hard to know in this industry what a healthy version of that looks like,
Yeah.
because we are so, we're at the whim of a lot of other people's schedules, and sometimes you don't know till, very last minute what your life next week could look like. So it's sort of
Yeah.
this interesting way of planning your life where it's like, yes, you plan as if. It's always like as if, as if I'll be here, as if this will go according to plan. And nine times out of ten, it's like, something came up, I
Exactly.
have to change. Yeah.
like living minute by minute, day by day, literally
Yeah.
minute by minute. Especially if you when you book a job and you're waiting on a date, a shoot date, you're waiting on all this other stuff. And
Yeah, you just start holding.
yeah,
You just, I mean, you mentioned the Equalizer in your opening, and when I booked that job, I was on hold for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and it
before
was
we
kind of
get to
like,
that though,
yeah, before we
before
get
we
to
get to
that.
that, before we get to that, we Erica and I met, just to let people who are watching to know this.
Yeah,
Well, Erica, I met. There's very few people who you just connect with like instantly, right?
yeah.
Instantly. It was kind of like, and it's kind of like a vibe. And I think it's because we're both Leos, like our birthdays are a day
Yes,
apart.
Leo power.
You know what I mean? So it could be that, but we connected instantly. And I've seen her growth as a professional. She's always been talented, but just as a professional, and to be able to do that and still be a wife, mother, and be present in both industry and at home. To me, I've always just found fascinating, and it's always something about you that I truly respected.
Oh, thank you, Phil. I mean, it's not easy, and I have such a supportive family. I mean, not just the family that I live with, but beyond that, my parents and my sister who live close by, who have been like my rock, and my grandmother, my abuela, who just turned 91, who's
Uh,
still in the kitchen making empanadas and
Happy
calling on
birthday,
my kids.
abuela.
Thank you. And she's calling us up like, okay, I made empanadas. You better come over here and get them. So like supporting us by cooking us food still, And obviously it goes both ways. I do a lot for my family who lives, right over here also. But like just that I don't think a career is possible without a support network. And I share that just to say that like there's so many people in your life who have your back in ways that, they may not fully understand the industry or how it works, but they like know you're doing something and they're like, okay, yes, I'll take your kids. Yes, I will do this. Yeah, so it's really a community that you build around you to have that support to keep going. I mean, that's the only way I've been able to do it.
Yeah, they know it's a job. You know,
Yeah.
they know you
Yep.
got. It's like going to work. Mommy's going to work. And depending
Yeah.
on the job, we don't know. It's not like we can guarantee that we're going to be home in 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And there is no guarantees, right? There are some times where you have to miss things. I mean, I've had to make hard choices between like, being there for something like one of my kids' events versus, taking the gig. And sometimes you choose the gig and sometimes you choose family and, they're both hard.
Was there ever a time where you had to choose the job over attending something that your kids were being a part of?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I did a short film a couple summers back and we were shooting in Pittsburgh and I was gonna miss like the big baseball championship game that my son's team was going to. And, I had this feeling that it was going to be a big moment for my son, which it was. He was like pitching, it was championship game. They ended up winning. And I got to see these moments, like thankfully, like and again, my family came through. My brother came out. He was video chatting me live. And, like it was like like I had gotten no sleep because like we had shot through the night.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it was like, like you figure out these ways to still be there and
right.
experience it. And thank God for technology, right? That
Yeah,
connects us, keeps us able to still kind of be there in a certain way. But yeah, it was like hard because like he still talks about that day, to now. And it's like, oh, right, I wasn't actually physically there. But you know what? My kids get it too.
yeah,
Like they really get it too. They're like, okay, yeah, like the schedule. But I'm here, like you said, being present with where you are when you're there, and then when you have to be on the go, it's like you find ways to connect and stay grounded and still, they know that they have you. There's no confusion there. So
and that matters a lot.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
more than material things, just being present in their time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And as they're getting older, and it's happening quick, like I don't know the last time we spoke, Phil, but I have a high schooler and a middle schooler. So like this is like, they're going off into the world pretty soon. And yeah, just to know that they have that, you know, like they have that connection to me and will forever. And I also, to say the opposite, I never look back at the years they were younger and be like, oh, I wish I was working more.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
sure, maybe there were certain opportunities or things that I could have taken had I not been parenting young children. But
Right.
at the same time, I'm like, they're those ages once, and I'm not, you know, I'm not regretful that I made those choices at that time too.
Right. I can't
Yeah.
believe you got one in high school. That I'm still tripping about that.
I can't believe it.
You
I'm
know.
just
So
like,
are
he's
you are you
taking the
still
subway, and I'm like,
are you still cool with him? Like, because I know when
oh yeah, we're very close and it's great. And that's, you know, the foundation of our relationships are so close. And I mean, I think being a mom really grounded me and only fuels anything I do in my work life also.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Law and Order.
Law and Order.
Detective
That was
Rachel
okay.
Ortiz,
Law
right?
and Order SVU.
Law and Order SVU. I gotta keep
Yes.
saying that. Law and Order
That well,
SVU.
it's really the only one on TV right now. I think they're bringing back
I
a
think they're
couple of
bringing
other.
her back to Mothership. Oh,
Yeah, they
I
did
know I
say
read that
like,
somewhere.
yeah. I mean, that franchise is, you know, long running. It's a and I think for a New York actor, and it was for me, like if you can get on Law and Order, like okay, you made it. You know, that was before. And like Law and Order has been the gift that has kept on giving because it was my first TV gig. It was my first co-star. I play a police officer, Rachel Ortiz. I mean, when I first booked it, didn't have a name, nothing. But you know, then they've been like a few, you know, seasons later, like, oh, let's have her back, and let's have her back, and let's have her back. And
Right,
so
right,
it's just been so wonderful over the years to go back to that set and just see. I mean, they're a well-oiled machine. They know exactly what they're doing. Mariska's amazing
yeah.
to be around. Um, you know, everyone on that set
And
is
it's like
just such
you can't go anywhere else and say you're a New York actor and not have Law and Order on your resume. It's like, what do you mean?
yeah. I mean, I mean, look, I mean, there's lots of other things filming in New York, but there's just, you know, for me in my mind, that was sort of like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh. So, and it's been great. Yeah, I've been on there, I think at least 10, I've had like 10 spots on there, which has been
yeah,
wonderful. And yeah, I mean, Law and Order is a great set to be on for an actor
yeah.
because they got it. They got it down. What they're doing over there, it's like,
Right,
yeah.
right. And you, how many episodes did you actually do of
Yeah,
that?
I think it was 10, I was saying.
Wow.
I think I've been on 10 episodes of SVU. Yeah.
And your work has just been expanded since then. I mean, I remember I don't even know what the show was, but you did a show with Daniel Sanjata,
So that was Graceland.
Graceland.
That was
Okay.
yeah, it was Graceland. Yeah, Graceland I think ended in season 3, which was the season I was in, and I had a, you know, little arc on that in 2 episodes of season 3. Yeah, and I do feel like just, you know, in this business, it's like it really is one foot in front of the other because there's no one trajectory, right? Like there's no like the roles expand as you expand, right? So then, and also, you know, just making decisions around like, okay, you know, like you want to do characters who have a name and who have more than one line and who have, you know, like you just start to then build on your experience and then you're able to contribute
Right.
more to the stories that you're a part of.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So after that, we talked about briefly the other day, the Equalizer.
Yes.
Of course, I'm sure you get. How was it to work with Queen Latifah? How was it to
She's,
be on that set?
yeah. Queen Latifah is amazing. I mean, her energy in a space. you know how they like some people just like I don't know. I feel like some people just operate at like higher frequency or
Right,
something, and
right,
like
right,
she's
right.
that. Like she's in a space, and you just like feel warm, welcome. She's like really in charge, and you know, most of my scenes in the show are not with her. Unfortunately, they're with Tori Kittles, who's amazing. But yeah, I would have loved more time with Queen Latifah. But she's great, and she's leading this show. And I mean, and just to back up a little bit in the story, I auditioned for this character, Detective Paley,
Mhm.
before everything shut down. Just like end of February, just before a pandemic hit. And you know, so then everything shut down, and of course you just kind of the world went where it went, and you just didn't really think about it. And then
Yeah.
I think it was I can't remember, but it was when things started reopening that fall. It was like October-ish. I'm remembering,
Like,
and I got a script in my, you know, like to audition to do a self tape because right now everything is right self tapes, and I opened the email and I'm reading the script and I'm like, why do I know these lines? Like I'm reading the script and I'm like, I know these lines. Like I was like, I know these lines already, but what is this? And then I look and I'm like, oh my God, this is the role I went in for back in February, you know, like February, March, and just before,
right.
and I was like, okay, and I was so excited. I was so excited that I was getting another shot at it, right? Like, and then, you know, put it on tape, took some chances with like how I filmed the self tape and
Yeah.
um just in terms of like, you know, staging, leaving a little more like space to just kind of be and listen. And, you know, I think sometimes as actors, we feel like our tape has to be filled with
Right,
something. And it's kind
right.
of like you can
Absolutely.
kind of be just, they want to see you be a person.
Right.
So, um, yeah. And then I got, you know, the call that I was pinned and that I booked the role. And it was just, you know, so exciting to be a part of a new show. And then the icing on the cake was like, we premiered after the Super Bowl, which was just, I mean,
Yo, yeah, I remember
so
that.
so
Yeah.
many eyeballs on that premiere and just so just was such so great to be a part of that and so exciting and what a you know what a great sort of re-entry into like working after
Yeah.
having not worked for so many months and feeling you know I mean we all experience like periods of time where like oh my God am I going to work again and how do I do this and but that was all of us you know our industry was completely shut down so to just be like you know,
I
to
was
be a
on the
part
phone
of
with my
something.
agent saying like, "Are we
Yeah.
ever coming back?
Yeah. Are we, is this ever
Do
going
you
to
think it's gonna
happen? What's, you
possible?"
know, like, is this possible? You know, so for me, it was just so reaffirming also, like, in such, because it also to me then showed that, like, okay, I've done the work. And then so in this really hard time where we're all struggling, and then to like land a really great job in the midst of that was just, it was very humbling. Like it just was so, it was so great to be on the set. And everybody on that set, Phil just like wanted to be there, you
Yeah,
know, was ready to work, wanted to be there. And that's what you want to be a part of when you're on set. You know, like
that's a beautiful thing.
sets can get crazy, right? Like there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stuff going on. And there, of course, there was moments of high, you know, stress and all that because we're also trying to get a lot done. And now you have all these extra protocols and you have COVID and you have
Yeah.
testing and you have mask wearing and you have, you know, so it was also a stressful time, but it was also
Did you
such
have
an
to
amazing.
quarantine? Did you guys have to quarantine before?
No, no. Our show didn't have those protocols in place. We did have to test though every single time that you would get to set. It was and there was like a testing schedule. So sometimes, you know, and the studios are over in New Jersey. So sometimes I would have to trek to New Jersey just to do a COVID test,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and then you would come back and then next day have a fitting, rapid test, come back, you know, go for your shoot day, rapid test, then you shoot, you know, so but I mean, but I was just so grateful for all those protocols being in place because it meant we could be at work. It meant
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and oddly enough, work felt like one of the safest places to be in the midst of all
yeah,
this. It
yeah.
felt like this
A few
is,
production people have told me that they like that we feel
yeah,
like we're in a very safe space.
Yeah, because everyone knows their status, right? Everyone's been tested, and you just feel like, okay, now we can just do the work and feel relaxed about it. And especially if your show is a world in which like you're not like COVID doesn't exist, like you're, and which I was happy for that too, because like some shows were like in COVID world, right? Like, which I think is also important that TV shows are mirroring what's happening in the world. But it was really nice, I have to say, to like be on a show where it was like,
You provide
okay,
with
we're
an
in an
escape.
imaginary world where
Yeah,
like COVID's not
something
here.
doesn't
So it
exist,
was just,
right? Yeah.
it's just like, like that's what we do. We play make believe, and it's nice to kind of transport yourself and others to that place, and you know have that little escape from the day to day
Right, right,
reality.
right.
Yeah.
What do you think that people? What do you think that some people take assume about what it is that we do in the business compared to what it is that we actually do in the business?
Oh my gosh. I feel like when people see what we do, they're like, oh, you just, you just sit here all day and do the same thing over and over again. And you're like, yeah, it just doesn't, there's not the glitz and glamour. Like it's hard work. I mean, especially TV and film, long hours, really intense. Like it's a lot of people making something happen. So you're like moving with this, you know, the metaphor came up before. So yeah, the ship is moving, right? And you got to go with it. And sometimes it means like you're just working through zero sleep or, really hard. There's so many things that I think are just not glamorous about the behind the scenes, but also I don't know if people understand how much fun we have doing what we do.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like how much like you know my husband and I booked a commercial together, and he's not an actor, and he came to the fitting, and
I thought,
I love fittings. I have to be honest. Like I love trying on clothes. I love like the whole, like somebody dress me, like, like all that. Like I love that. But, he was kind of like, yeah, I didn't like that part so much. Just of like, I mean,
it's like
to
it's
try something
intrusive.
on.
It can be very intrusive. You're not used to
Yeah,
that.
it can be, right? Because then you walk in front of the creatives and they are like, is this what we want them in? And like it is a little bit of a weird thing, right?
Let me take a picture. Let me snap a picture.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Turn
like
around.
like really up in your face. Like you have glasses on. Okay, great. Let's see that. Show me your hands. Let's so yeah, but just yeah, so on the flip side of how like not glamorous it can be, it can also just be like we just get to play too, like and find things, and if you're in the company of other amazing collaboratives, then usually you get some freedom in that, and how wonderful, you know.
I never worked with Queen Latifah, but I've been in her space a lot of
That's
different
great.
times. One time it was in West Orange. I'm not gonna give the year because I don't want to give my age, but it was in West Orange at a cookout. I will tell you that it was a hip hop artist that gave the cookout, and I'll say that Living Single was on at that time and I'm trying my best, but I can't tell a story without giving a clue.
You need to give context. I
All right,
understand.
so and I remember her. She was drinking a whole bottle of champagne, kind of chilling by the pool, and I was just like, wait, that's Latifah. And then I would just see her in New York City randomly. One was
Yeah.
a hot dog stand, eating a hot dog, talking to somebody, and I think for me, living in New York City has always been a blessing because I've always felt like this was ground zero for what we do.
Yeah.
I think LA is always the next step, but this is ground zero because I think that in New York City, you get all the tools that you need, whether it's commercially, on television, on episodics, theater, voiceovers. You get a chance to dabble in everything so that when you make that transition or when LA comes calling, because I mean, LA is kind of always calling New York, or New York is always kind of calling LA because we cross audition so many
Yeah.
times. But it's just that you're fully equipped and you're fully prepared
Yeah.
for everything, for anything, you know.
Yeah, I don't see the benefit of going to LA unless, for me, it was always like if something takes me there.
Yeah,
And I think you're right. Like there's so much, like I put so much on tape for LA, and I feel like I have, I obviously probably have my strongest relationships with casting offices in New York because I mean this
right,
is where I was born and raised. This is,
right.
this is home territory. But I think it's possible to build, a career in both places. And for me, yeah, that's a goal is to ultimately figure out how to be really truly bi-coastal and what does that look like and how do you.
Now
But
it's
at this
like
time, I don't know that
bi-coastal,
it's
bi-coastal, because keep in mind,
yeah,
we're shooting everywhere. Like we're
everywhere.
in New
Yeah.
York and you could be in LA, but a job will take us to Atlanta, Chicago,
Anna.
New Orleans, Wilmington, North Carolina,
Yeah.
Toronto, Canada, anywhere, you know?
Yeah. It's true. And I think also now the time that we've moved into
Absolutely.
where we are auditioning completely virtually, like you can be anywhere at this point. I don't know if that will continue to shift. Like we will maybe start to have some in person happening at some point, or chemistry reads and things, will open up more so that those things can happen.
Right.
But I, I don't know. New York for me is where I want to be. Also, like Broadway is back,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
hallelujah. And um, although I haven't focused my career on theater, I have done it and I want to get back to it. And so to me, it feels like this is the place to be, so you want to even, whether you do musicals or plays, it's just the place you want to be to get that experience to continue to, and also they're just putting TV people in on Broadway. So so like I need to book my starring role in TV and then maybe I'll get
And
my
then you
Broadway.
look,
So,
then you get the offer for Broadway. That's what you don't
yeah.
understand. You just got to get on TV, and then Broadway will come calling.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly. So that's
without
my
having most
strategy.
actors like
Yeah, but also just, yeah. And I've focused more on television and film because of the schedule. Like as much as I love theater, those are long rehearsal days and you're performing at night. And then so like, when you have kids, that's not really ideal. So
yeah,
I think, I know plenty of moms though who are on Broadway and they're amazing and it's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, just to be clear. But
right.
it's hard, it's definitely a hard schedule.
So how do you like producing? Because you've had a film actually go into several film festivals. So what has
Yeah.
operating in that
So
like for you?
So my second collaboration with writer director Nick Ronan is called Blue Fire, and it's the second film I've co-produced with Nick, and that we act and star in as well. And the producer side of things it's just like it's a completely different hat to wear. You're thinking about so many other things from the publicity of your film to how to finance it to the hiring of the crew to the so all these pieces coming together. And for me, I really think of it all in service of like, because I want to do more work and showcase my work, and so I'm the actress slash producer, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I'm working with people that I really trust, and I think it's not an easy thing to take on, but it's so worthwhile when you are just like it's so satisfying to create your own work and showcase yourself when because like I said earlier, like we're sometimes waiting for someone to give us a job, and so while you're in between things, you have to fuel this creative energy and spark. It's like, where does it go? So I really am so in support of actors like producing their own work or helping friends do that. And, we have to stay in it. We have to stay active. So that's the lens I think of producing through.
You have your eyes set on Sundance?
Oh man. Yeah, I think that with this particular film, it's a really we're fitting into a really interesting genre with this film. It's sort of like skewing sci-fi. We just got into like a horror film fest, which it's not quite, so it's an interesting piece. It's a 20-minute short, and it's about these two damaged lives that come crashing back together when one of them discovers something in the forest not of this world. So, there's these really interesting elements. There's drama, there's sci-fi, there's this little element of sort of like horror. So it's been an interesting piece. I mean, Sundance is the dream, right? Of I think any filmmaker, independent filmmaker. But there's so many film festivals across the country that we've been applying to. Some are hit, some are missed. That's what the film festival game is about. We just had our New York premiere at the Coney Island Film Festival,
Congratulations.
and two festival screenings coming up, the HP Lovecraft, which is in Portland, and then the Hot Springs, which, oh my God, I just totally blanked, but Hot Springs, I think, is Arkansas or Georgia. Anyway, don't quote me. But yeah, so it's just great to know that your work is getting seen, and I think before I produced, I didn't even really fully understand the film festival circuit and what that was all about. And now that this is my second film and second journey with it, it's so great just to connect with other filmmakers, see what people are doing. And these are other people, and that's the best part of film festivals, is just like connecting with other people who are creatives. So
Yeah.
you network and you're like, hey, I saw your film and I loved what you did. And that's actually how we found the cinematographer for Blue Fire. We saw an independent film at the Soho Film Festival,
I'm sorry,
loved his
someone just
work.
yelled out Tribeca.
Tribeca!
I'm sure she will. I'm sure that's definitely a goal too. You can't be a New York
Yes. Yes, there's
and
so
never.
many great film festivals. So, but just and what I was saying, that it's about making those connections, right? So we saw this work, loved what he did, reached out to the director and be like, hey, can we connect with your cinematographer? Turns out he lived in Germany, but we were like, we have to have him financed, getting him over from Germany to do our film. And, this is to me like the magic of filmmaking, right? Because like we're telling stories, and when you find the crew and the people that you want to bring together to tell that particular story, it just clicks, and it's so wonderful, and it's hard. I mean, it was a labor of love,
I've
but
noticed from the Academy Awards this year. One thing I noticed is that a lot of the editors and sound engineers were actually outside of the country. I saw
yeah.
that there were a lot of people who were elsewhere, other than locally here in the U.S. Do you think that's going to continue as an ongoing trend in filmmaking?
Sure. I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily new. Like, I think there's talented people all over the world, and so maybe technology is allowing that to expand,
Mhm.
that we can connect with people. And I don't know, I just think it's so wonderful. I mean, we need other perspectives and thoughts and culture. Like, people bring their artistic mentality from wherever it is they're from, and like it informs the work. And I think it's just important, and probably will continue. But I mean, I think there's talented people everywhere. So it's about finding the people that, you know, are right for the project that you're working on.
How do you feel about the current state of women in the industry, um, and
Yeah.
this movement toward getting more women behind the camera?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I know I'm always excited at the prospect of working with a female director, a female writer. Um, I just think it's because for so long there's only been one, you know, the white male voice. And it's like there are lots of stories that need to be told, and we need other people who can help make that happen. And it's, you know, it's just, it's beyond time, right? Like, it just feels, I know that for me, you know, as a Latina, as a woman, as a mother, it just feels like there can be so much more and that we should be pushing for more. Uh, and yeah, I mean, there's so many talented women directors I know, producers, writers, and I just would love to see that elevated even more. And it's happening, right? Like I know, and I feel like TV is doing a pretty good job starting to do this. I think film still needs, you know, a little push there. Um, and hopefully that, you know, people understand that all of this is about making it better for everyone. It's not just like, hey, we want our time in the spotlight. It's
Right.
like
Right.
this elevates everyone's stories actually if we get an opportunity. Um, and yeah, just even like in the roles that I want to get a chance to play, sometimes I do feel very discouraged because I'm like, I think I might just have to write it for
Yeah.
it to happen, you know, or it needs to come from some place where, because right, you can't expect somebody else to take that on, right? So there's a part of me that's like, oh, like we all have a responsibility. And so it's like kind of like we can't all just kind of sit back and like hope it's going to happen magically. But
Right.
so yeah, I'm like the women in my circles, like I meet with groups like on, you know, we meet every couple of weeks and it's like women in the industry who are just forging ahead and pushing forward and offering each other resources and I just think it's an exciting time because it benefits everyone actually to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And to tell it from your perspective,
Yeah.
you know. And I remember hearing, I'm not too sure if it was if it's true, but I heard that when Orange is the New Black had a predominantly female um, crew on it,
Yeah.
which I thought was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I'm so sad I didn't get to be on that
Yeah,
show, but I heard wonderful things about, yeah, just that whole crew and cast. And, you know, what they did was pretty remarkable,
yeah, yeah,
making a central, you know, this story, predominantly female cast, you know, but also, I mean, they really represented really well for the trans community,
yeah,
for the, you know, LGBTQ community. Like it just was really
yeah.
a great show in so many ways.
That's
Funny, heartbreaking, and like real. People didn't wear makeup. It was so great.
yeah.
It's just like,
I like that because it's like you just kind of like you're telling the truth. You know, you're kind of like taking the cloth off, taking the makeup off, and just giving it to people raw.
yeah, like, and how, you know, and I think that's another thing for women too, right? I mean, we spend so much time focused on what we look like.
Yeah,
Well, society does, right? Versus like we're actually fully human with like you know multitudes like of stories to tell and things that are so go so much more beyond just like what you know what we
sure.
look like and you know
Yeah,
like and it's so important that we just keep fighting for women to be seen
yeah.
in a very different way than just like oh here I am you know I mean I yeah.
So
Yeah,
check
I
this
was
out.
going to go down
I have
another avenue, which I don't know that I want to.
right, exactly. I can't afford for any. All right, so here we go.
No
My
regrets on
five,
Instagram
my
Live.
five Oprah questions, right? I call them my Oprah Super Soul Sunday questions.
Yeah.
All right, so question one.
Now I'm nervous. Oh my gosh.
Question one.
What are you going to ask me,
What
Phil?
What do you know about the industry now, opposed to what you thought it was when you started?
Mhm. I would say that I thought it was all based on talent, that I thought it was based on like what you could do. And while that's really important that you're a good actor, there are so many sides of this business. Like you essentially have to learn to be a business person, right? Show up on time, be prepared, market yourself, make connections, network. You know, like, so there's this whole other part of the apple, right? Like it's not just, yeah, you got to be really great at what you do and continue working at your craft. But I know a lot of really talented people who aren't moving forward because they haven't figured out the business side of things, right? So I think that's the piece for me that it like felt like, oh, I got to get smart about this if I'm going to keep doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. I really do.
Yeah.
What
You know, which
advice
is
would
in
you?
a way, sorry, just like the
No, go
last
ahead.
thought about that was like, you know, that's not the stuff they teach you in college
No.
or like your, you know, your conservatory or your courses. And I can't remember who said this, one of my teachers, but they were like, basically, if they taught the business of acting in colleges, people would not need it because you would figure out pretty quickly, you're like, oh, it's not just about all this, like my feelings and breaking down in scene class and like, you know, like you almost
Yeah.
have to unlearn all that stuff they
Yeah.
taught you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
But
oh,
when you actually get out into the industry and you realize nobody cares.
nobody cares if you can cry on cue. Nobody, you know?
Nobody cares, man. I'm sorry. I
Well,
know
I mean, maybe if the scene calls for it, they care. But
continue to go to class and pretend you're a snowflake. All right. All right. So, what advice would you give your 19-year-old self?
oh God, girl, forget him. Forget him. He's a waste of time. He's wasting your precious time. Go find yourself without that guy.
Okay, all right, all right, all right, okay.
That's my very, very clear advice to my 19-year-old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and just keep going as it pertains to career stuff because wow, there's just so much, there's like so much to discover and so many more things ahead. Just keep going.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what feeds your spirit?
Oh, nature, community, like being connected to people. I think more and more as I'm getting older, because yes, that's happening. It's just acknowledge like I feel much more um I don't know if nostalgic is the right word, but just like I feel very tender towards people that have meant something in my life, you know, even if we're not in very close contact, but it's like I am treasuring time and that I know it's limited, you know, and not in like a morbid way, but just that like, hey, you know, each day I have to show up and it's like, um, yeah, so that all feels connected somehow and just and wanting and I think it's shifted from like maybe when I was younger, it was sort of like wanting the spotlight and wanting, you know, like wanting or you know, there's some element of what we do
Mhm.
that like puts us in the light, and so you're like, oh, great, you know, people. But I think now it's really changed, and I'm like, being of service, right? Like, how do I want something deeper to channel through me. I want to tell this story, and you know, it's like this yearning that is
Mhm.
different and deeper than it was at the beginning of this journey. So it just for me keeps growing, which makes me think, okay, I'm somewhere on the right track
Right,
in doing this work, you know.
right.
Um, so yeah, that feels like a spiritual thing, like, you know,
Yeah.
take me
And
now.
I'm saying, I mean, I think that's why I do what I do because I do it because
Yeah,
I really want to celebrate the people who I've been in this industry for a long time with, and to see you guys excel and grow and flourish. You know, I believe whatever's meant for me is for me. You know,
yeah,
nothing that's meant for me will ever pass me by. So knowing
yeah,
that, I know that the universe is bountiful, and there's always enough for everybody. So I can be,
yeah.
I can not just celebrate you, but be very genuine in that effort.
Yeah, and I think that has changed too as I've grown in the industry because you realize like right, like yes, of course there are those roles that you get disappointed about and you're like, "Dang, I really wanted that one." But then whoever did get that opportunity, that was theirs, right? And yours comes along and it's remembering that yes, like what's for you is for you. And it's a very different perspective though than like the scarcity that I feel like we as artists are fed. It's like, oh,
Yes,
like, there's not enough opportunity. And look, it's really hard. I mean, that's not to say that there isn't a struggle involved with, you audition and audition and audition, and sometimes it's 100 no's before there's another yes.
absolutely,
And that's real. But that one yes could be the game changer, right?
absolutely. So, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy. Wow, these are big questions. Well, I know that I want to leave behind a body of work that pushed boundaries, that um, spoke to the condition that we currently live in. And I would love to represent for my people. I'd love to be a Latina that gets fully visible, you know. Maybe that's awards and accolades, but maybe it's just like, you know, had a long-standing successful career, and that's something to be proud of.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
So, what are you grateful for?
Oh, I'm grateful for my family who backs me up every day and deals with my crazy. Um, I'm grateful for the opportunities that are coming my way right now. Grateful for my friends and colleagues who I can depend on. And I'm grateful that I live in a place where I have, the freedom and ability to pursue my dreams.
Amen.
Amen. We're like at church now. Like,
I know, right? I look forward.
I
I
didn't
look
know Phil was
forward to this,
taking me
right?
to church
Like
tonight.
when
Woo, I'm hot now
whoever's
too.
watching, when me and her talk, we go back and forth. But like, I guess I'm surprising everybody with these questions, and they come on.
I love them. I mean, it's so great because you're so authentic, Phil, and I love that you're doing this and just, making people just think about this stuff.
Yeah,
Because sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, I go through the day to day and I'm, getting through it. And then other times it's like, oh right, like I'm so grateful that I even have the opportunity to be doing this. And
and I think that we do what we do because we want to impact the lives of someone. You know,
yeah,
we want to change the trajectory of somebody's life if it's not going in the right direction. For me, comedy is just not about being dumb and getting
no,
it's about providing somebody with an opportunity to laugh and heal. You know,
yeah,
we don't know. I remember growing up and I remember watching television, and in those days, television was like my escape. So you never know what situation people are in when they're viewing your work on screen and what impact your work could have on that person's life at that moment. We don't know. So I don't ever believe in taking it lightly.
yeah. And comedy is so amazing because the reason it's funny is because I feel like it's so grounded in truth. And sometimes that truth is heartbreaking, but it's often, but it's like you said, those opportunities to like laugh and like see some reflection of yourself in a situation or the
Right.
absurdity of something or someone's failing or someone's mistake. I mean, comedy is so great in that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find more poignant than drama, which is
Yeah.
like that's not realistic. What's what if they really there's five bombs that went off, like, whatever. Sometimes it's so extreme and sometimes there's a lot of violence on TV that sometimes I'm like, all right, like
It's
I
like
need to
enough. It's like
yeah,
how many car flips, explosions, and all kind and gun shootouts can we actually do?
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
So love it. People love it.
Yeah, but that
Erica,
stuff is fun. That stuff is really fun to shoot. So we're not going to
yeah,
knock it. We're just going to say, let's balance it with, some good old fashioned humor.
yeah. Yeah, the world needs to laugh. Laugh more. Laugh is good
Yeah.
medicine for the soul. I truly believe
Uh,
that.
yeah.
Definitely. Well, I want to say thank you. I want to wrap it up. I want to say thank you so much
Thank
for agreeing to
you.
this. This took a long time, but I appreciate it. I know
Oh,
you're
thank
busy. I
you.
respect your time. And I appreciate you just being willing to come on and
Oh,
talk to me.
I'm so glad this worked out and that we could connect. And yeah, folks should watch The Equalizer season 2 premiere on October 10th.
Woo-woo! The Equalizer season 2. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love it. I love it. Plug away. Plug away. Melba Moore just joined. I just wanted to say Melba Moore is an R&B icon, a Broadway icon. She's part of the original cast of
Amazing.
Air,
Oh,
1969. I
I
believe.
listened to that recording on repeat when I did
Yeah.
hair in high school. And actually, my high school drama teacher just popped in. This is so amazing, what's happening right
Yeah,
now.
it
And he
is. It
directed
is.
Reese
I'm
Hair.
so excited. I'm so
That's
grateful.
amazing, Melba. Oh my God. Hi.
Yeah.
I listened to your soundtrack over and over again while I was
It-
playing
it's one
Sheila.
it's one of the best. It's one of the best. So thank you for joining, Miss Moore.
Yeah. Oh, Phil, I love you.
Love you
And
too.
I'm so excited for where things are going. And so good to see your face after all these months.
Yeah, thank you. Coffee. We need to get together and have
Yes.
coffee again. I'll be in Queens at some point to pick up my eyeglasses. So
All right, Ricky boy.
we'll,
All right.
we'll
Good
be in
night.
touch. All right. Have a good night, Erica.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much once again for joining me. I appreciate it. Everyone, please, you got about like 8 minutes. The Gentleman's Corner, my brother's going to talk at 9 o'clock. You got to be there. Go support them right now. Log on to the Gentleman's Corner live and give my brother some love. Until next Wednesday, I bid you love. I bid you peace. I bid you joy. And give somebody a hug this week. I love you. God bless you. Be in love. Be in peace. Till next Wednesday. I'm out.